Sources tell ABC News President Trump is renaming the Department of Defense to the Department of War. A formal name change requires congressional approval, but according to a White House official and other sources, President Trump will sign an executive order today to use the new name in official correspondence, ceremonial contexts, and non-statutory documents. The White House confirms the Secretary of Defense may also start using the title Secretary of War. President Trump is expected to sign that order this afternoon, and former NATO Supreme Allied Commander General Wesley Clark is here for more on this. General Clark, thanks for coming on. You know, the DoD was called the Department of War until 1949. What do you think about the change away from that, and now President Trump's expected order to change it back?
Well, I think it's very ironic because when we had a nuclear monopoly and we were the greatest military power in the world, we named ourselves the Department of Defense. Now, when we're facing a growing coalition of nations against us with nuclear weapons, China, Russia, North Korea, possibly later Iran, we're calling ourselves the Department of War. But I do think it does follow the theme of President Trump and Secretary Hegseth. They want a more masculine, they want a more martial approach, something that improves recruiting, something that sounds better on the posters. So I think it's just part of the theme of this administration.
What do you think it tells our allies and our adversaries?
I think it's cosmetic, and I think it goes with a lot of other positioning and posturing that our allies and our adversaries see through, to be very honest with you. I mean, what our allies and what our adversaries are looking at is Ukraine. They're saying, here's the challenge for the United States. What's the United States doing? And what we're getting is statement after statement after statement from the White House about how Vladimir Putin is disappointing and not following through, lies to us, but there's no real action. And instead, what we're doing is we're dumping this back onto our European allies. In our own administration, we've taken out experts in the intelligence agencies who deal with Russia. We've cut programs in the Defense Department that help the Baltic states prepare their defenses in case of a Russian attack. So it's cosmetic, and it's seen through by allies and adversaries, I think. But it may supercharge some young men who want to come into the military, like to shoot guns and so forth. So maybe there's a recruiting benefit to it. But overall, on balance, you'd have to say it's just cosmetic.
We saw this show of unity this week between the leaders of Russia, China, and North Korea. What do you think the U.S. response should be?
Well, I think we need to get very serious about this. We haven't been serious enough. President Trump is right that we do need to do more on strategic defense. For the entire Cold War, we had strategic nuclear superiority or nuclear equivalence. In this multipolar world, we don't. Starting with the electricity grid, which is a massive vulnerability of the United States, penetrated by China, possibly Russia, on to missile defense and our borders and everything else, we are increasingly vulnerable. But we also have historically underspent, underdeveloped on our military, and we're facing the real challenge right now. It's not just about the budget and rhetoric and cosmetics. We really need to focus on Ukraine. As Ukraine goes, so goes the West, so goes democracy, so goes freedom, so goes the international rules-based international order, which we set up after World War II. It's 80 years of American leadership on the line. That's what's being challenged by that convocation in Beijing.
Also, this week, President Trump ordered a strike in the Caribbean against a boat allegedly running drugs from Venezuela. The White House called the people killed narco-terrorists, and I'm quoting here, they say they were an immediate threat to the U.S. Do you think this is an appropriate use of the military?
I was the commander of U.S. Southern Command, and we occasionally had U.S. Navy ships down. Usually we used the Coast Guard. We used some Air Force aircraft to detect flights and so forth. We did shoot down or encourage our friends there to shoot down aircraft that were narco trafficking. Look, this is not the right way, in my view, to deal with the threat of drugs in the United States. You need a much more comprehensive approach. It's both supply side and demand side. We're not hearing much about the demand side, and we can't sustain this kind of military commitment in the Caribbean for very long without severely impacting what we're trying to do for deterrence in the Middle East, in Asia, and in Europe. So, we do need more resources. China's outbuilding us, naval ships 10 to 1. So we're way behind on our Navy and other things. So it's another theatrical move, and it's a quasi-legal. Normally you would use the one of the intelligence agencies with a covert finding if you're going to do something like this. You wouldn't normally use U.S. assets like this without like a shot across the bow, warning, stop them, board them, search them, arrest them. So it's just beyond normal practice.
All right, former NATO Supreme Allied Commander General Wesley Clark, we appreciate your time today and always. Thank you.
Thank you.